that this is all firmly rooted in early 90s alt indie rock, whatever you want to call it. The dynamics and the structure of the song as such. Um, I'm so struck by it, and I hate to sort of bring this up every time, but I have to because I'm, obsessive like that. But this is very much like a mid-period Pixie song. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name's John. His name's Andy.
It is.
Out on the road today, I saw a black flag sticker on a Cadillac. A little voice inside my head said, "Don't look back. You can never look back." Thought I knew what love was. What did I know? Those days are gone forever. I should just let them go, but more on that later. But first, we have a track to listen to, selected by brother Andy. Andy, what have you got for us all?
Oh, well, I would like to revisit a band that we've covered once on Into the Music, and as a the celebration of our 100th episode here on this channel, we're going to be listening to them for a second time over here. That band is Bad Books. So you've listened to It Never Stops here and P-Tor on the aforementioned Into the Music, and today I'd like you to give a listen to the live performance of a track I think I've mentioned to you in passing before called Baby Shoes.
Interesting. Right. Well, I shall. I remember the 100th episode one. But Peter sticks in my head more. I think
Yeah.
because of the narrative, you
Yeah.
know, head in a glass jar and all that.
Yeah, that's going to stick
Um,
with you for a while, I'm sure.
and it was one of the very first ones we did together on Into the Music as well.
Mhm.
So, those early scarred memories, they don't heal quickly. But
Neither do Severed Heads, coincidentally.
yes, yeah. But yeah, they're both beautiful general songs. So we'll give this a listen and see what happens.
Excellent.
Okay, what the fuck? Who are these guys and what have they done with the band? That's an interesting start. Just a second, there's a few things I wanted to say. Um, there we go. So, one, I had it in my head. There was just two guys in Bad Books. And I remember one of them being Andy Hull, which I recognised there in the black. Um, I'm guessing that's the rest of the band, and then the other guy, can't remember. Secondly, I like the setting. It's really cozy, and it's like somebody's cool flat, and the fairy lights and the frames and everything, and the bookshelf just makes it look really cool. But it's quite cozy and tight in, and has a nice feel to it. And I think for a live performance, is that someone from the audience there with a little silver head on the? This must be great, just sitting there watching these guys. And thirdly, this clip starting, it's reminding me of someone. I don't want to say who. I don't want to jinx it in case it just goes nowhere near it, but I'm full of hope. Okay.
Baby shoes, never used, Thought of you till it happened to us too. Jennifer, I've heard you finally moved, you made it through, that's good for you. I'm a dog, I'm a bird, I'm a rat and you're detached from all the words. I'm a dick, you're around, I am bound and terrified of making sounds. Oh, oh, oh. Inside, my surprise, switching sides and oh my god, she's back alive now. She is mean, she's harm. She once belonged to us, now belongs to the dark. She once belonged to us, now belongs to the dark. She is gone, false alarm.
Yes, this is so firmly rooted in sort of early 90s alt rock, indie rock, whatever you want to bloody call it. There is a huge dose of Pixies in there, which, as is the law, means I have to love it straight away. Yeah, the dynamics is great. There's even a bit I saw Black Francis and Kim in the singing. If you just change Andy Hull's voice slightly to Black Francis, it could be kind of like our bossa nova period. I love the fact that the guy whose name I don't know, so I'll call him Red Guitar, RG, call him RG. I love the way that RG just went into a guitar spasm. And the beauty of it was how brief it was. And they go back into this clip and everyone else is acting like nothing's happened. What? Didn't see anything. It's brilliant. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Here we are, now I'm growing out my arms. I can make big mistakes.
Oh, that's nice.
Evil comes, yeah, it comes to me in waves. Oh, no. Saint, sticky paint, 3 6s and they can call me by her name. I'm a saint, sticky paint, 3 6s and they call me by her name. I'm so lonely, I'm so angry, help me, pet me, she's so lonely, kill to throw me, she's so lonely, kill to throw me. Come down the hall, I've gotta put a fucking into all in all. I hate the bars, I love the bars. At least I'm safe and you can't hurt me.
I know it's not the same, but that's really similar to Black Francis. I'm sorry to harp on about Pixies. But he said, I hate the bars, I love the bars, and the way he shouted the second line. It's just gonna have to do it again. Yes, it sounded great.
Down the hall, I've gotta put a fucking into all in all. I hate the bars, I love the bars. At least I'm safe and you can't hurt me anymore. She is mean, she is harm. She once belonged to us, now belongs to the dark. She once belonged to us, now belongs to the dark. Sometimes I can see the afterlife, and I am scared the apocalypse is 3 in a living room that's right next to me. She is mean, and she can kill. would do it just to have a simple thrill. She's a saint, sticky pain. 3 6s and they call me by her name. 3 6s and they call me by her name.
Thank you guys very much. Thanks for coming.
I really enjoyed that a lot. I love the dynamics. I love the way they constructed the song. Simple groove, quite a simple song, and then they just glittered stardust over the top. RG, red guitar. I'd like to hear more of his stuff. He seemed really interesting. There's almost like there's some other references, musical references or influences, sorry, which I'm getting. Like Pavement, early Pavement's one of them. Trying to think, there's someone else as well that I know that's kind of in that mix of that sound. It's really nice, really interesting, completely different from the other 2 songs that Andy gave me from Bad Books. They were much more gentle. Yeah, loved this, loved it. Right, let's go back to Andy and find out a bit more.
All right, welcome back. So you got to get sort of this live experience from this APK session that they held. What did you make of this performance and the song?
Okay, so first reaction: what the fuck? Who are these thrash merchants and what have they done with the band? It's just a really funny opening, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stops, so that's really cool. After 20 seconds, normal service is resumed, obviously. The visuals of it as well. It's really interesting. Couple of things. So it seems like a really tightly packed performance space. Having recently, I don't think it's dropped. It will have dropped by the time this comes out, but we've done a reaction recently to Manchester Orchestra playing on Letterman. So
Yes.
they're on a proper stage. And this is like somebody's cool flat with the picture frames and the bookcases, but they're all, and the fairy lights, but they're all jammed in together. And I think when I stopped the reaction, the camera shot at them like that, and there's like a head. And I did have trouble pointing the correct way, saying, what about, if you're one of the people there, and you see them right at the end of the video, actually, there's just like a bunch of people. It must have been absolutely awesome to be just right there.
Super intimate,
really
right? Yeah.
The second thing, I found this video as a whole to be really enjoyable and enlightening, because in my mind, and you've gone over this before, but it hasn't stuck, but the only member of Manchester also I recognise is Andy Hull. And I presume that the other singer guitarist to his right, as we look at it, is the other collaborative member. And in my mind, I had it was just the 2 of them, but clearly that's the rest of the Manchester Orchestra with them as well. But
I should say it was a Manchester Orchestra at that time, because it's a different drummer, it's a different bass player,
and the
keyboardist has since left the band. So it's really the only 2 members that are still there is Robert McDowell, the kind of skinny, long-haired guy playing guitar, and Andy Hull himself at this point, because Andy Prince has taken over bass and Tim Ferry is the drummer for Manchester Orchestra, as we covered in the song Virgin. Yes.
Very much the drummer, yes.
Yeah, that's very much him.
So yeah, what I really liked watching this and their live performance was how, I can't remember the guy, and you'll tell me later, so don't bother now. But so in my mind, I called him Red Guitar, or RG for short. I liked how he performed and how he influenced the overall sound. You could see what he was bringing to it that was different to a Manchester Orchestra song.
Yep.
So anyway, it starts with this quiet, guitar and vocals from Mr. Hull. The drums and blessedly few hand claps join in before the bass, and then the second vocals from RG. And there's some ohos as well and vocalizing, which leads to the next section, which the rest of the band join in. The second guitar is similarly sort of restrained as well, and there's the odd little splash of keyboards going on. But you quickly get the impression, I quickly get the impression that this is all firmly rooted in early 90s alt indie rock, whatever you want to call it. The dynamics and the structure of the song as such. I'm so struck by it, and I hate to bring this up every time, but I have to, because I'm, obsessive like that. But this is very much like a mid-period Pixie song. In fact, change the vocals and it could be off bossa nova.
Yeah.
It really could. Even the trading of vocals is similar to Kim Deal and Black Francis in a way, but when they're singing together, not when they're singing apart.
Mhm.
I was waiting for a crash or dissonant guitars at some point. So the line "She once belongs to us, now belongs to the dark," which is very much a Black Francis kind of a line, leads into the red guitar, RG going ape shit, which is excellent stuff. And what I love particularly about it, which is a good thing, which the Pixies did as well, is the briefness of his musical spasm. This like somebody having a fit in a doctor's waiting room.
Yeah.
But then everyone else ignores it and they go straight back to that sort of restrained verse, and it's so effective. It's like, oh, no, didn't see anything here, did you? No, no. Shh, be quiet, Jerry. Don't make a scene. And it's like that. It's just great.
Yeah.
And again, really, really so effective. Absolutely loved it. So then RG joins in on the vocals, and as he does so, he's plucking these slightly off-kilter notes which go into a riff. And it's the equivalent of an eyebrow being raised, it's just a little bit, and he doesn't look it, but musically, he's the more insane one of the two.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is funny because
I
Andy looks like the more insane one for sure.
yeah. But he's a straight guy in this
Yeah,
song,
yeah.
which is funny. We go back to this quiet, loud, quiet dynamic. We get some more guitar shrieks, which he's whamming away or whatever. And it sounds like a wobbling violin crossed with a toy ray gun. I mean, it's just, I will destroy everything before me. It's just lovely sound to it, and it's great. And he's giving it some oomph as well. So RG then starts repeating the lyrics from Andy Hull. So it's not a call response, it's a call and then recall as the music builds. And we go into another RG sort of guitar scramble. And this time, as he's out, he's clearly having a lot of fun. But this time, the guitar sort of stylings, we will call it, to me reminded me of Early Pavement, which is another sweet spot for me.
You're saying
all
of these. You're saying all of these key hot button words in this reaction, which is great from my perspective. But go on, John.
And then there's a line which Andy Hull sings, which he goes, I hate the bars, and then he goes, I love the bars, which is like primo Black Francis, the way he does that. I'd almost give a little cheer. I had to rewind and listen to that bit again because that's so funny. We get another chorus, and then just as we go into Andy's vocals, another chorus, and then it drops down to just Andy's vocals with the drum sort of pound. And he gives it a little bit of extra oomph here and there without going overboard as well. And then we do have another round of the sort of chorusy type bit, whatever it is, and we're done. I have to say this was a fairly simple kind of song. They have a lovely groove to it, simple groove, which they then embellish. I think the lovely side of this was to get in a sort of character from seeing the live performance. Completely different to the two songs I listened to before. I think what I enjoyed most, and he did steal the show for me, was RG's impact and particularly his guitar dynamics and how much he clearly loved doing it as well. So yeah, great performance from all of the guys. Great song. Loved it.
Awesome. I'm so glad you enjoyed this one. And it is when I had another peek behind the curtains here, and I think we've mentioned this before, where we will test videos on our channel and not release them just to see if they get flagged for anything, because this is sort of, I think, owned by the band themselves, or it's from their YouTube page. So I was like, oh God, I really hope this goes through. And it didn't get flagged. Let's hope it maintains that when we put this up. So I was like, yes, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait for John to check this out and to pick up on some of the things that you did. It all went together as planned. So that's awesome, man. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. So as mentioned before, because as I mentioned before, we've done this band. They are an American indie rock band formed in early 2010, and they are composed of the indie folk artist Kevin Devine. That's your boy's name. And members of the indie rock band Manchester Orchestra, along with the drummer Benjamin Hamala. A self-titled full-length album by the band was released digitally on October 19th, 2010, and a physical CD was released of it on November 9th of the same year. A second album, simply entitled 2, Followed 2 years later, on October 9th, 2012. They released their third album, Daytrotter Session, in 2016, and their fourth album, simply entitled 3, was released in 2019. This track, Baby Shoes, features on their debut self-titled release from 2010. 6 songs on the album were written by Kevin Devine, with the other 5 written by Andy Hull, and Baby Shoes, this track being credited to Mr. Andy Hull. The announcement of the release of this album was coupled with an announcement that the band would embark on a 4-city East Coast tour in support of the album, and that those cities were New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Cambridge between October 20th and October 24th of 2010. All dates were supported by Andy Hall's solo project, which I'm probably going to bring at some point in the distant future. That solo project titled Right Away Great Captain. Robert McDowell's solo side project called Gobatron, and the Dead Confederates' Hardy Morris. Another acoustic 5-date tour by Kevin and Devine and Andy Hall alone took place in December of 2010 in support of the release. And when asked by Brooklyn vegan writer Andrew Sacher what musicians influenced this album, Andy and Kevin cited songs by Neil Young, Pixies, and Pavement. And Kevin also mentioned Wilco, Matthew Sweet, and Cat Power songs, and Andy included songs by Pink Floyd and Damien Jurado. In his review of the album for the Marshalltown Chronicle, Dennis Ludin wrote, Devine and Hall's songwriting displays a form of storytelling within their songs with intense imagery and passion. This release felt like the best writing of the collaborators mashed into a blender, and instead of ending up in a mess, the songs are simply beautiful and touching. Bad Books release affects the listener on so many levels that it seems like the universe guided Hall and Devine together for the sake of sincere, heartwarming music. David Main of Pop Matters wrote this in his review of the album. The somnambulent vibe is punctuated by occasional slabs of urgent percussion or strident yowling, and this dreamy but anxious tone continues to be channeled throughout the first several songs. Baby Shoes marries a simple, almost nursery rhyme melody to bitter lyrics and fly buzzing against the window guitars, combined with a couple of somber, mostly acoustic numbers. The first half of the record is a serious affair, easy enough to listen to, but disconcerting enough in its own way. So let's jump into these lyrics. Baby shoes, never used. Thought of you until it happened to us too. Jennifer, I've heard. You made it through. You finally moved. That's good for you. I'm a dog. I'm a bird. I'm a rat, and you're detached from all the words. I'm a dick. You're around. I am bound and terrified of making sounds. Satan's eyes, the surprise. Switching sides, and oh my God, she's back alive. She is mean. She is harmed. She once belonged to us, now belongs to the dark. She once belonged to us, now belongs to the dark. She is gone, false alarm. Here we are, and now I'm growing out my arms. I can make big mistakes. Evil comes, yet comes to me in waves. I'm a saint, sticky paint, 3 6s, and we call her by her name. I'm a saint, sticky paint, 3 6s, and we call her by her name. I'm so lonely, feed me, feed me. I'm so angry, pet me, pet me. I'm so lonely, kill me, kill me. I'm so lonely, kill to thrill me. Here I come down the hall. I've got to put a fucking end to all in all. Hate the bars, I love the bars. At least I'm safe and you can't hurt me anymore. 'Cause she is mean, mean and harmed. She once belonged to us, but now to the dark. She once belonged to us, now belongs to the dark. And you and me plucking feathers, and you and me destroy the best of things. Sometimes I can see the afterlife, and I am scared the apocalypse is 3. In a living room that's right there next to me. She is mean, she could kill, she would do it just to have a simple thrill. She's a saint, sticky paint, 3 6s, and they call me by her name. 3 6s, and we call her by her name. So, Kenneth Partridge of Music and Musicians discussed the song with Andy Hall, and here's an interesting excerpt from it. As to describe Bad Books, the new joint side project between indie troubadour Kevin Devine and Manchester Orchestra frontman Andy Hall. The twosome will point to one song in particular on their self-titled debut. The grungy Baby Shoes was inspired by a 6-word story often and probably wrongly attributed to Ernest Hemingway. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. Hall filled out the scenario with a song about a couple that loses a young daughter, asks Satan to bring her back, then faces the consequences, a demonic child bent on murdering her parents. Hall jokes he wrote the exceedingly dark song because I'm a freak. I wanted to write something wacky, and I wanted it to have this Pixies vibe, like slow burning acoustic guitar with weird electric stuff. And I would say he hit a home run on that. If you, a diehard Pixies fan, hearing the song for the first time, almost instantly latched onto that connection, I would say success unto you, Mr. Hall. So
Yeah, definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
awesome, man. Well, I just think it's funny because Hall does this, right? Like Pedor, he hears this anecdote in a history class, right? Runs with it and creates this whole narrative surrounding the exchange in this love triangle. To this like hundreds of years ago, monarchy over in Russia, and just lets his imagination do wondrous things. And here, this story, this myth at this point about Hemingway trying to come up with the most profound short story possible and winning this contest among writers in Cuba or whatever. And he hears this and he goes, well, that is a cool, whether he wrote it or not, that is a cool, evocative little blurb. What can I do with this? And he takes it and runs to the craziest extreme of like this resurrection story where, it's like something out of a 90s horror flick. But yeah, very funny, very just good, fun to listen to, good music. So I thought, shades of Pixie, shades of Pavement. Who would like this song? And I thought you might, man. I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did. Guys out there in the listening audience, let us know if you enjoyed it like John did or like I do. Let us know if you heard other bands maybe being they're having their hat tip to, or having a hat tip to them in this the way this was written and structured. Please, the comments field is there for y'all to use. We love interacting with you guys and hearing what y'all have to say about the stuff we bring to the table and the stuff that you guys offer up on Fridays as well. Also, while we have your attention, and if you haven't to this point, please like, share, and or subscribe. Any and all of those things go a long way to kind of helping bolster our channel and pleasing the YouTube algorithm god. So we do also appreciate that. And with all that said, hopefully John and I will see all y'all in growing numbers on the next episode of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.